Good morning. Welcome back to Coaching Conversations. I'm Maria Sabio.
And I'm Lourdes Laifer. Today, we're sharing from our soon-to-be-released book, The Daily Path to Resilience, Small Steps to an Unshakable You. It's a modern interpretation of ancient Stoic wisdom. One quote, one interpretation, one takeaway you can actually use today as a daily practice. And the more you return to it, the more it returns you to your center.
So let's get started with today's quote, which is a powerful thought based on Stoic principles. When you see life and time from a higher perspective, human life feels small and death loses its sting. Now, I think we can all relate to that. We get so tangled up in really, small events. Sometimes they're, small fleeting dramas in our lives, like, a bad review at work, a social media comment, a minor argument that you have with someone. And these things at the time, they seem like, they're massive and, they're all consuming in that moment. But that's because we're not using our reason to pull back and see the full picture. The Stoics would say to us that we're not using our inner GPS, our logos, to guide us.
Yes, and this isn't about being cold or emotionless. It's about using reason to gain perspective. It's about it's a practice really that's been exemplified by people across all walks of life, from athletes like Serena Williams, who mastered her emotions to dominate on the court, to innovators like Sheryl Sandberg, who is guided by a long-term vision, and statesmen like Barack Obama, known for his calm, methodical approach to immense crises.
But one of the people, to really truly understand this, we have to look at one of the most powerful examples in modern business, Jeff Bezos. He's a man who built a world-changing company by mastering this exact principle. He's the ultimate example of a leader who uses reason as his guide.
Yeah, if you think about his famous day one philosophy, right? Day two is stasis, complacency, the beginning of the end. He used reason to combat this. He insisted that even as a massive, powerful company, they had to approach every problem with the vigilance, energy, and customer obsession of a startup. He, wasn't guided by a fear of failure or the comfort of success. He was guided by a rational understanding of what it takes to build something that endures.
And, his long-term thinking, it's the clearest evidence of this. For years, everybody knows Amazon stock, it was like a punchline, right? Investors and critics, they scoffed at his lack of profitability and also the immense amount of debt that he was carrying. They were focused on, these short-term, quarter-to-quarter financial reports. But Bezos, he was focused on the big picture. He used reason and data to invest billions in projects like his AWS, which seemed crazy at the time, but became one of the most profitable arms of his company. And he wasn't swayed by the noise or the crowd or the laughter or even the fear of temporary loss. He trusted his inner compass.
Yeah, and we live in a world of instant gratification and constant distractions. Our brains are trained to react emotionally to the latest headline, the latest social media post, or the latest rumor. And this robs us of our peace. Using reason to gain perspective is an essential skill for survival in the 21st century.
So how do you do it, right? You can think of your life as a video game. Most people get stuck on that first level focused on, those small obstacles right in front of them, the difficult boss, the confusing puzzle, small failures. And they get angry and frustrated and they end up quitting. And, I'm guilty of that. And I think a lot of people are guilty of that. But the Stoics, the practice is like unlocking the map of the entire game.
Yes, when you use reason, you see the whole game. You see where you're going. You understand that the obstacles are temporary, and you're not afraid of losing a life because you know you can always respawn and keep playing, right? To use your game analogy, your focus shifts from the small immediate problem to the larger goal.
Right. So the next time you feel overwhelmed, just stop, take a step back, use reason to see the big picture. Your daily struggles, they aren't the whole story. They're just a small part of, a much larger, much more meaningful journey.
Yes. So that's your thought for the week. Don't let it stay just a quote. Let it challenge you. Let it shape you. Try it out in real life and see how it changes the way you think, the way you show up. And we'll be back next week with another reading from The Daily Path to Resilience, Small Steps to an Unshakable You. We'll see you next time.